Hi there, my name is Armando Lacerda, and I am one of the technical trainers here at Learnit, and I'm specialized in SQL Server, Visual Studio, and SharePoint. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about two new features that are coming with SQL Server 2016 that's going to be released later this year. It's currently available for download on the release candidate number 1. And I encourage you to go ahead, go online, download it after this demonstration here, and explore the new features that are coming up on this new release of this great product. And in the SQL Server 2016 is bringing new features or improved functionality for our current features that we already have in many areas, pretty much all the areas of SQL Server. One that I like a lot, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to demonstrate here to you today, is in the reporting service. You know, after a few years without and a few releases without new great new features, great new improvements in reporting service, we now have great new capabilities on publishing data for our customers, for our enterprise customers. One of them is the new portal. Reporting service got a new redesigned portal, and the report viewer is not an add-on anymore. It's working fully on HTML, which is a great thing. No more ActiveX that's required for the browsers, for the end users, so it works across many browsers and many platforms. And another new thing on reporting service is the ability to create mobile reports. And in authoring these mobile reports, it adds up to the authoring tools we already have, which are Visual Studio for advanced report authors, and Report Builder for regular users, for power users. For those same users, for power users, we have in the new reporting service portal the ability to create this new kind of report called the mobile reports. And they are great. They work based on titles. We create the data sets for the end users to pick up their data, and they are able to create all kind of visualizations for all form factors for all mobile devices. So it's a great new addition. I will show you on the next video, right? But for today, what I have here to show you is two new features in the security area of SQL Server. SQL Server brings in 2016, right? The new version brings a lot of new features in the security area. One of them is what's they call it? It's always encrypted. Do not confuse it with always on, which is high availability. It's nothing to do with security. But we have this new feature called always encrypted, which gets data in a private way, in an encrypted way, all the way from the client, which was not available in previous versions, through the wire, in memory, all the way to the storage, to the table, to the data files, and based on columns even. So it's completely encrypted all across, and only authorized computers can see the actual data. Everybody else would see just the encrypted version of the data. It's a great new feature there. But the two ones I want to show you today are related to data visibility. Who can see the data in SQL Server? And I'm going to switch to the computer here and show you the first one, which is RowLevel Security, role-based level security. The role-based level security is an interesting one. It comes to fulfill the long waiting request of, I have this table. This table has this thousands of rows, but I don't want every user that's able to connect to the database to see every row. In the past, I can tell SQL Server to say, you give to this person the ability to collect rows from this table, and to that other person, they cannot collect any rows from the table. It was all or nothing. But now in SQL Server 2016, we can define a criteria. And in the use case I'm going to show you here, it's going to be like I'm a salesperson, so I will be able to collect only the orders I have placed from the table. I cannot see nobody else orders from the orders table. So let me show you how that works. Okay, there we go. Right button now. So here we are. This is SQL Server 2016 Enterprise Manager. Management Studio, right? SQL Server 2016 Management Studio, and I got here a solution that I have created to show this features. So the first one here is the RowLevel Security. So I'm using the AdventureWorks database. As you can see here, where are my databases? Here, there we go, AdventureWorks. And I made slight modifications here in AdventureWorks, but one of the things to keep in mind is AdventureWorks comes with this table called person which got a bunch of things about people there. This one here, right? Person. So in the AdventureWorks data model, every single person, either a customer or no regular an enterprise or a human being, they're all cataloged in here, got their data in here. And we already have a lot of orders placed on this system. They are in the sales order header, and here in the sales order header we have this column here, which is the salesperson ID, which is a foreign key to the salesperson for the people in my database who are salesperson. So if I collect data from this table here using the ID for our salesperson ID, I will see my orders, right? They're gonna collect my orders. So as of now, if I go there in the sales order header, I will be able to see every row in there, right? I got 31,000 rows roughly, right? 31,000 rows. And these are all orders from all sales representatives. And this is what I don't want to have, right? What I really want to have is be able to filter this based on the salesperson, on the people in there. And in order to do that, I did some modifications on the AdventureWorks. I created this little script here using this. I may make this available online later so you can download in case you need. We can post a blog of this later, right? And you know, this little script here creates the SQL login and the database user for my salespeople. So these are the scripts that were created, right? These are my salespeople in the database. I created a login for each one of them, and we're gonna use a couple of these guys here to test the functionality. So if I go here into Management Studio and take a look in the security of this database, I can see all those users that have been created by this script. So if I go ahead and log in as, let me check one here. Let's use this guy here, JPEG. So we're gonna copy this user here and create a new query, and I'm gonna connect to the database using that account. My computer is still thinking, you know, I got antivirus on this computer here, so it makes everything slower. So let's say I want to connect as JPEG. There we go. And the password is that common password we always use, and we connect. So I can see down here I'm JPEG, right? I'm connected as JPEG. I'm gonna get that query there, this one here, copy, and shoot it in here. Come on, paste. And I will also be able to see from JPEG every row that's there in the database. This is what I don't want to have, right? I want this user to be able to see only the orders that he has placed. So in order to do that, we're going to activate this RowLevel Security feature in SQL Server. And the way it works is pretty simple. You know, they did a great job in SQL Server in this new release. They really did a great job because they make the process really simple. For most of the security things, you know, this new security features, we need like 2 or 3 SQL statements to get it working. So watch this. Here, there we go. Watch this. There we are. The first thing we got to do is create a user-defined function, you know, a table-valued function that will return a flag, either 1 or 0. In this case, here is returning 1 when the security criteria matches. And SQL Server, we use this function here to do a cross-apply from the rows being selected from the underlying table, in this case the other header table, and see if the user can see, can collect that particular row from the table. And so it's a regular table valued function, right? So and it's required to be schema binding to avoid this function to fail and nobody has access to the data after after the fact, after the thing has been put in place. So this is the flag that is going to return, right? 1 in case the user can see the row, or 0 if the user cannot see the row. And here goes my criteria, right? I want to filter information from the order header row, from the order header table, based on the person who is requesting the data. See, I got here the order ID to filter order by order, and I'm going to evaluate here who is connecting, right? This is the person who is connecting. The database principal ID function that returns my connection information, my connection ID, and this is requesting the connection ID of the person who placed the order. Remember, person.person got everybody there, and in my script I used a composite of first name and last name to create a new user. So I'm checking if this user here was the user who placed this particular order. If it was, it's gonna say, okay, you can retrieve this row. If it was not the same person, right? If the person collected row is not the same person, it's gonna return 0, so we're not gonna be able to see the row. So let's go ahead and create this function created, and now you're gonna put it into effect. We're gonna use this new command here in SQL Server 2016 called create security policy, where we're gonna apply the function we have created. See the function over here, what's the name? There we go. The function over here, using this particular column has the argument, the order ID, to this particular table, the sales order header. So since every other table there relates to sales order header, in order to get the product, in order to get the order items from the other table related to this one here, placing the security on this table pretty much covers all my bases. So when I turn this on and get into effect, there we go, all done. My database is now filtering, SQL Server is now filtering every request to that table, and according to my user ID. If I have placed an order, you can see the orders I have placed. If I have not placed an order, I cannot see that. So in this case here, I am the DBA. See, my ID here is video 1 because I'm recording this video. So my ID here is video 1. This particular user has not placed any order in the system. So when I run this, I see 0 orders, right? I can't see any order there, all filter out from my session. But if I go back to the other connection I have created for JPEG, there we go. See, here we go, right? JPEG. And it was before you could see all the orders, right? All the 31,000 orders that's in there. When I run the same statement again without disconnecting, reconnecting anything, SQL Server applies the security criteria, and now he can only see his 348 orders that he has placed, right? He cannot see anybody else's order. Actually, if I go in here and I got these commands in here to see, to focus on that, let me copy it in here and paste it in here so you can see the result over here like this. Let me get this font a little bigger. So these are the orders that were placed by this particular salesperson, JPEG. And just to make sure, we can see there is only one order ID, salesperson ID in this result set. If I just switch sessions here to this one here, Garrett Vargas, and let's copy it and back in here, and let's change the connection. No, this is not it, right? This one is it, yeah. So let's go ahead and change the connection. Let's connect has this gentleman here, Garrett Vargas, and the password. Connect. Hopefully, okay, there we go, connected. And if again, see, didn't change any statement, just the connection information. When I run this one here, I see a different amount of rows. So these are the rows for this particular salesperson. And as you can see, there is only orders for that person, right? So there you have it. This is one of the new features in SQL Server 2016 related to security, which is called RowLevel Security. And as you can see, it's pretty transparent to applications. So without doing much changes on any application, we can get this particular filtering applied to the database and get more secured, more privacy to the data according to the user connection criteria, right? So great new feature. I hope you like it. I like this one a lot, and I can see my systems taking advantage of this. Now the other one I want to show you is the one that masks data from the result from the user, mask data from coming from the database going to the user, and it does not change the data into the table, but it actually changes the data only in the result set. It's called data mask. It's a very interesting new feature in SQL Server. Very simple to use. You're gonna see here in the scripts in a second. Very simple to use. But I think they still have to do some perfectioning in this feature, and I'm gonna show you why as we move along. It requires a little bit more effort than just what they show on their guide. So what's the idea? What am I looking for in here? You know, many commercial systems, when you buy stuff online, you know, they collect your credit card, they collect your social security number, and they store these things under tables. They should not, right? Usually it's considered best practice not to store this sensitive private data. But some systems they do, right? They store this thing in there. They can use encryptioning to avoid people from seeing the data from the table. Only authorized systems to see that. But encryptioning encourages some processing toll, right? There is some extra processing to be executed not to get the data, encrypted in the private, stored in a private way. This particular feature is backwards. It does not encrypt the data. It does not change how the data is stored in the database in the table. It only changes the data when the data comes out of the database, when the data is not is queried by people who are classified as less privilege with less management grants in the database. So they see the data through glasses, like, or through masks, like they say in the documentation. So it works like this. Let me get here the other screen to show you. And here we are. Let me get here this other script, which is this one, DDM. So the script is coming up. There it is. Yeah, and it goes like this. So I created a table in there. Oh, this one here was some change that I have done in the table. Let me remove this here. I don't want you to be disturbed by this little processes. So we have this table here called customer in AdventureWorks. And I changed the table, added 2 new columns in there, annual income and credit card information. 2 sensitive information there in my table that were not there originally. And if I go ahead and collect this information from the table, I can see fake credit card numbers, right? Don't try to use it. They don't work. And also some annual income information here, right? And of course, I don't want people to see this data, right? Don't want regular users to see this data. I want this thing to get masked. So the way to do it is by calling this SQL command we had before, right? Alter table. And this new SQL command here, we know the alter table can do many things to the columns, right? And to the table structures and add constraints. So this is not actually a constraint because it doesn't apply any criteria to to acknowledge new data into the table, but it's actually some extra processing to modify the data when the data is going out in the result set. So we get this new clause here called add masked. Add masked will change the data when it goes out. It doesn't change the data in the table, only when it goes out. And we have some functions here we can use. Like the default function here, we just change it to a fixed data, whatever fixed data, whatever is the default behavior for the data type of that particular column. In this case here, annual income is a decimal column, so you're gonna zero it out at the output. And this other one here, see, is the same thing, add masked. And this one will apply this other function here, the partial function, which will put some information there, apply this mask here, put some access there, and then put some data at the end. There are two other functions we can use. We can use one specific for emails to scramble email addresses, and some other custom one you can also use. So let's go ahead and apply this to the sales customer table. Let me execute this. There we go, executed. So let's take a look here on the sales customer table. This is order header, sales customer. So there you go, annual income and credit card information. When I collect data in here, I still can see the original data because this particular user, the user I'm connecting this session here, has privilege grants into the database. This particular user is a database owner, so this mask doesn't apply to this user. So if I go back there to Garrett Vargas connection, if you run that same query, let me get the query here again, copy, and run the query here again, paste it in here, select, and execute. We see that Garrett also can see the original data, because if you investigate Garrett's connection here, the Garrett's account into the database, which is this one here, let's double click this guy to see its role membership in SQL Server in this particular database. And as I told you, this machine here is a little bit slow. That's why I gotta constrain it a little bit here when presenting these features. So let's just wait a little bit. There we go. It's in the other screen. Let me drag it here. And if we go here in the membership, we can see that Garrett is a DB owner. That's the reason Garrett got to see all the data in there. So if I switch this connection here back to JPEG, right? Let me double check the name there. I don't want to get stuck on typos, so let me copy this name in here and go back in here and connection, change connection. Oops, that was not it. Is it? Garrett, yeah, this is it. So let's go ahead and change connection, SQL authentication, and I want to connect like JPEG, and the password is that standard password we use for everything, and connect. Now I'm connected like JPEG, and again if I go here to JPEG and double click, so I'm waiting for the thing that, oh, now I have to wait. It's not in parallel. I thought I would be able to select my statement and run. Management Studio in SQL Server 2016 is still in beta, right? So some of the things are not working here very well, like IntelliSense is not working that good yet, but definitely I'm pretty sure they will fix that when the final release comes out. And there we go. See, so JPEG is a regular data reader, is not a database owner. So when I run the same statement here using his account, you see the data is masked on the output, right? It's not showing anything there on the credit card, and also the annual income, although the data in the table is intact, but the output here is masked, right? It's just zeroed out by the default function. And with that, users with less privileges or applications with less privileges, they won't be able to see sensitive information, although the information is untouched in the table. And that's how it works, right? That's how the data mask feature in SQL Server 2016 works. As I told you, there are some weaknesses in this particular feature. One of them I'm going to show you in a second is, if you allow ad hoc queries from users, like if you allow users to go from Excel and using, for instance, Power Pivot to grab data from your databases, they will more likely be able to go around on the security feature here, because again it takes effect only on the output. It doesn't encrypt the original data. And if you apply some explore some weaknesses, I would say, from SQL Server 2016 on the release candidate 1 version, you'll be able to collect the actual natural data that's in there. And it's kind of this. Look at this. If I go back in here and I say, you know what, I want to cast this annual income column here to decimal, actually let's say money, easier, to money, which is the original data type for this guy here. When I run this, oh look, they improved it. Now it's still showing it has masked data, but in some situations it will be able to, by doing conversion, to have it on, let me see here, float will make the change. Execute, there we go, you see. So when I convert to another data type that's not the original one in there, I can grab the original data. This is a flawless, I would say, in SQL Server 2016, this particular release candidate here. And the go around this of this one here is not allowing your users to write their own queries, and that goes back to a very old technique, right? Consider very good best practice in SQL Server for any version, which is to create store procedures or create functions, table value functions, to grab data instead of allowing users to type whatever kind of query they want. That is a performance problem, right? And also a security risk, as you could see. So there you have it, 2 new features of the dozens and dozens of features, new features and improvements in SQL Server 2016. I hope you have liked this video, and keep in contact. We're gonna have a webinar coming up in April to follow up with other features and show you some extra functionality in SQL Server 2016. Go ahead, download the product, have fun with it, and I see you next time.